Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. No big deal. The next decade of Vikings football rides on today.
Hi, I'm not nearly that enthusiastic. My name is Arif Hasan from the Wide Left Substack, and Sam has still not tweeted out the link to the show.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Just 24 hours before we find out that Bo Nix is a Viking.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Quick reminder, my 2025 mock draft will drop this weekend. Don't miss out on that.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
Welcome in. It's draft day. Glad you're joining us on the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Whether you're watching us live on Locked On Sports Minnesota's YouTube channel, please subscribe. Watching us after the fact on the YouTube channel or the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, Amazon Fire, Roku, SiriusXM app, lots of ways to watch and listen to the program. And what a day we have. We are going live right now with our final mock drafts, our final Vikings draft predictions, and then we will be live at the moment of truth tonight. Check back here, 7 p.m. We'll be going live through the Vikings pick. Hopefully it's early. Hopefully we get a quarterback. I can't wait for it, but we've got plenty of
straight
speculation.
all the way back to the second.
Man, that trade down to 31 and then the next trade down to day 2. Yeah. Oh man, the old people that stayed up and got excited, they're going to be so mad.
Yeah, I don't have the material to get through 32 picks, guys. I'm just going to be honest with that tonight. So let's make the pick at number 3. Today's show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Inman, you hosted the last 2 shows. Where's the overlay? I feel like the overlay should be here.
I love.
Did you delete it when you uploaded all these?
This is 100% Inman's fault. I'm not taking any blame.
Hey, there it is.
I want all the credit.
This is great for the audio listeners. Hey, it was up the whole time, audio listeners.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I admit it. I have a competitive side, and I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store and Google Play. Clearly too much coffee today for me, so someone else should talk. We're revealing mock drafts, our final mocks of the pre-draft process, but we have specific parameters. But before we get into that, let's just go to Luke Inman, the draft guru. How ready are you for tonight, man?
I can't wait. I don't know why this year it felt like I got a little bit more draft fatigue than previous years, but I'll tell you what, man, after soaking up so many mock drafts, you listen to all the experts and pundits and talking heads the last few weeks. I can't wait to finally see how this draft unfolds. And I truly think, not being a prisoner of the moment here, guys, I really do think this draft class is one of the more unique draft classes that we've seen in a long time, between all the quarterbacks that could go at the top 1, 2, 3, 4 potentially, and then all the big trades in the top 10 as well. Buckle up. There could be a lot of fireworks tonight for sure.
And Arief, what can people expect at wide left the next few days? Arief?
I'm doing a bunch of consensus board stuff, so obviously hello? Hi?
You're on a pretty good delay, I think.
Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of... Oh, good. That's great. That's fantastic. I could log back in.
Love to go live.
But to answer Sam's question, I'll be doing a bunch of consensus board stuff. So morning of, I'm going to be doing, or every morning I'm going to be doing best available players via the consensus board. I'm also going to be doing team grades. So, the consensus board grades how your team drafted, stuff like that. And then, I don't know, if interesting stories pop up, I'll cover those. But it won't necessarily be entirely focused on the Vikings. Over the course of the next couple of days following that, of course, there's going to be some stuff talking about what the Vikings did, if it's at least interesting to talk about.
Luke Braun, say words. NFL draft tonight.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the thing that decides what Kwesi's legacy in Minnesota is. The thing is, though, you can't really say like hot seat because we won't know how we feel about it for like 2 years at least, right? So that's the thing about the draft is it is not a place of like instant gratification. It's a long-term world. So I don't know. It's very exciting. And if they pick a guy you're excited about, you'll probably love it. And if they pick a guy you weren't excited about, you're probably going to be like champing at the bit to find the first thing he does wrong. So you can be like, fire Kwesi. And yeah, if he misses this, it's probably what gets him fired. That just won't happen for years. So buckle up.
Very inspiring. Now let's get into our mock drafts. We all had the following parameters. The assignment was Luke Inman, you're trading up to 5. Luke Braun, you're trading up to 3. Arif Hasan, you're trying to get a quarterback, but also maximizing value. And boy, did you maximize value. My job was to stay put and do nothing and pick at 11 and 23. I think we should start with Arief because it's by far the most polarizing and also illegible.
You gave me a task and I fulfilled the task. So
all right. Live television's going.
Hell yeah.
Inception.
Oh,
where
beautiful.
are we?
Look at this.
This is fantastic. Sam's going
There
to
it
dox himself.
What? That's not my draft at all. What's going on?
This is Arif Hasan's mock draft.
All right.
Tell us.
And audio listeners, don't worry. Video people can't read it either.
Yeah.
So okay. I'm getting out my magnifying glass. I see at pick 30, after 2 trades, cornerback Cooper DeJean, which received an A+ grade from PFF. Fun.
That looks like it's at pick 29 is the first time that Arief picked
I
in
don't pick until pick 29. I pick Cooper DeJean. The value is too great there. He could play basically any position in the secondary. The goal right now, this by the way, the plan for Cooper DeJean changes as the draft evolves. But the plan right now is for him to play outside corner, potentially kick inside. But I think Byron Murphy is supposed to be playing inside. But for the moment, we got Cooper DeJean. That's fantastic. That concludes, I believe, the first round for the Minnesota Vikings, Cooper DeJean. And I assume everyone's happy with that. I assume that at the end of the day, on day one, people are really excited about this Iowa cornerback.
I cannot imagine how angry Vikings Twitter would be if they traded down twice and got a quarterback.
It's not as if he's been involved in a polarizing moment or controversial call against a Minnesota team in his career.
Oh, yeah. By the way, he 100% is returning punts for the Vikings.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That was fun. That was wild.
Yeah.
So you do get a quarterback, though, Arief, with your next pick on Friday evening, round 2, Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, I waited until 35. I felt comfortable because in this mock, Bo Nix wasn't selected in the first round either. And I like Penix more than Bo Nix, but I think that in a lot of these mocks, Bo Nix tends to go first, at least by using the public board that PFF says they have. So I was comfortable like trading back enough and waiting for Penix, picked him at 35. And he was the number 36 on the PFF board. So great. But yeah, we've talked about the quarterbacks a lot. There's no reason to dig into a bunch of details about why I picked Penix. Obviously, I picked a guy. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. So again, you maximized value. You got a cornerback in the first. You got a quarterback and an edge, Chris Braswell, late second round. And from that point, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
My God.
This is a 20-pick draft, including Joe Milton in the 6th round, it appears.
Can we send this to Rick Spielman?
Seriously.
I don't know what position Joe Milton is going to play for us, but
pull a Joe Webb, maybe receiver a little bit at camp.
But,
a little bit of Wildcat. Let's go.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of tight end, a little bit of wildcat, a little bit of quarterback until we kind of figure out his best role. But Jaron Hall is going to have to earn his job, so I'm comfortable with that. But yeah, no, I picked 2 edge rushers fairly early: Marshawn Nealon, Chris Braswell. I just figure it's good to have a rotation up front. Obviously, the Vikings are comfortable with like Van Ginkel and Grenard, but I just felt like be good to build up front. I got Ruka Rororo as an interior defender, but later I did want to get a defensive tackle. So, I don't hate Luke Braun entirely. I gave him a bone here. Mekhi Wingo.
Thank you.
So we've got a run stuff. Yeah. So we got a run stuffing guy there. I didn't get as many offensive linemen as I wanted. I think I got 3. Bo Limmer,
Only 3.
Cooper Beebe, and Matt Lee. Matt Lee is probably going to be priority free agent, but I like his athleticism. I grabbed a bunch of receivers. Jamari Thrash. I think I got, who else did I get? I got Jaquan Jackson. So, guys that I think fit kind of that slot role. I got Ben Sinnott, who is some people's tight end 1. I figure eventually it'll be good to have some tight end depth, but also this guy should be available to play right away when Hawkinson's not. I got a bunch of special teams guys because I figure, we want to improve there. Jeremiah Trotter can both start at linebacker and play special teams. The other linebacker I got, Michael Barrett, is probably a special teams only guy. I got AJ Barner later on. I think he's going to practice squad guy. Normally I don't draft kickers, but 20 picks. I'm not too upset about this. So I got Will Reichard. We're going to sign some guys in undrafted free agency too. We're not committed to Will Reichard. This is going to be a camp competition.
You're cutting like 10 of these guys.
UDFA.
Like this is what I love about this is just because of like the nature of roster math. Like half these guys are not making the team.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I did grab some extra corners on top of that. So I got Cam Hartley, I got Jarvis Brownlee. So we got a full secondary drafted actually. So I'm pretty happy with that. We got Katana Ladapo. I missed a linebacker, Cedric Gray. Pretty happy about that. Did get a running back, Isaiah Davis. Wanted to avoid Kamani Vidal because Luke Spinman made a joke about all of us drafting him. Fair enough. But yeah. Oh, and there's another cornerback here, Kalen Carson. Missed him. Yeah, it's easy to miss some guys, I think.
Yeah, and
honestly,
the show's over. We're out
it.
of time. That's all for today, folks.
I love it. Just as many lottery picks, as many dart throws as you can possibly get. Like you guys joked about. Yeah, I mean, 25, 30% of these guys won't even make the team. But
what's great is that it's not all 6th and 7th round picks. There's like a bunch of 2nd, 3rds, and 4ths in here.
No, there's a lot of good play. I like a lot of these players on here, obviously more so in the first half. But yeah, a lot of great picks in here. I feel like, again, a lot of dart throws. You get them all to OTAs, you get them all to camp, get them in the preseason, get that competition going, see who thrives, see who wins out some of these jobs. And you definitely replenished, to say the least, a lot of these positions of need for sure.
I definitely picked an area where there's like a bunch of spots open for competition.
All right, Luke Inman, your assignment was to trade up to 5. You've done so.
Whoa!
I don't know how you managed this.
Look at that.
Ooh, baby.
You landed
Jayden Daniels.
Daniels.
Yeah, I don't know if seems kind of fluky. First of all, let me just take a step back to give up picks 11 and 23. Okay, up to pick 5, and then it gave me pick 37 as well and some change. I mean, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. Don't think that was the most realistic kickback though, to get up to 5 and then still get some change. So obviously you get Jayden Daniels to fall in your lap. That alone feels like a Christmas gift, right? Like that's a huge win. But then to get Newton at pick 37, a guy who, is being mocked in the first round right behind Byron Murphy for a lot of people on a lot of people's big boards. That feels like a big win. Foot. And then, honestly, you start the draft out with Jayden and Newton. Doesn't it just feel like everything else is just kind of gravy on top?
Yeah,
so, you take an extra swing on, and it's definitely doubling up, but, you take an extra swing on a guy like Tavondre Sweat. You look at the depth and just guys that are rostered right now at that position, clearly a position of need, but Harrison Phillips, a free agent next year. And outside of that, who do you got? I mean, you just don't have a lot of depth or a lot of bodies there as well. So, yeah, maybe a little bit of a double up there for sure. A lot of the same characteristics there. But nonetheless, just kind of a BPA situation. Got your downhill linebacker there from Notre Dame that I like. Had to get an edge in there, kind of force that pick there, but just not a lot of options. And then 2 offensive linemen. And it sounds like we both got Bazooka Joe at the end as well. For some reason, you did these PFF mocks a few weeks ago. Joe Milton, he would be there on day 3, but he usually wouldn't last this late. Now, all of a sudden, for some reason, they must have updated the board. Joe Milton's there like with the last pick every time. So
this is where you take quarterbacks that don't make the team. True.
Well, I think they do grab one of the consensus boards out there for their public-facing board because you can pick between
that makes sense.
Teams using the public board and teams using the PFF board. So, and I think their public board is like one of the consensus boards. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm fully comfortable with people using consensus boards for simulators. So
moving on to Luke Braun, who traded up to number 3, and this feels like the most realistic or expected scenario. You give up 11, 23, and a 2025 first for pick number 3. And you said that you had to manually add that 3rd first round pick.
Yeah, which I kind of feel bad about because I was going for realism, and that's clearly not what Arif and Luke did.
No, I
They-
didn't. No.
they abused the system instead of trying to retrofit it to be realistic, which is my mistake. I should have abused the system. I could have gotten away with 11 and 23, which would have been very funny.
Doesn't
Doesn't affect this draft though, because that's a
No,
future
it
pick,
doesn't.
So either way, yeah.
It's the principle of the matter. I wasn't competitive enough, you know. But then I also took Makai Wingo. I got Muhammad Kamara out of Colorado State's an edge I kind of like. I've heard people say stuff about Isaiah Williams. Kamani Vidal, of course, my guy.
Let's go.
I've definitely watched all his tape.
Let's go.
And no, I did not pick Joe Milton. I didn't want to waste a pick on a quarterback that I knew wasn't going to make it.
Instead, you picked a kicker?
He might make the team.
Well, I mean, at the moment, he would be
he's
the
kicker.
kicker.
Hey, he's
Not a
kicker
lot.
one right now.
No, they got you got to get a little
draft weekend as kicker one, the starting kicker. So
yeah. You got the XFL guy, little competition.
Oh, that's right.
I think it would be super hilarious though if they did pull maybe not a quarterback in the 4th round like Washington did, but just the year you let go of Kirk and then draft the heir apparent to Kirk. If they ended up pulling a similar draft scenario that Washington did, you draft RG3, then you draft Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. It would be funny if they double up and draft 2 quarterbacks at some point, not 4th round, but maybe late day 3.
Specifically Joe Milton. That would be very fun.
Specifically Joe. Yes.
Here's my stay put scenario. At 11, take Quinyon Mitchell, which if you're not getting a quarterback at 11, hard to be more excited, I think, about.
So in this scenario, did the first 4 quarterbacks go off the board before you picked?
Yes.
Okay.
They were gone by number 6. McCarthy went to the Giants at 6. So I decided to wait. And I think that'd be interesting. If Kwesi, for some reason, couldn't pull the trigger on the trade or gets beaten to the punch, will he have the patience to not take the quarterback at 11 and then sit and wait and risk the possibility of a Las Vegas, a Denver, I don't know, Detroit, like someone coming out of left field and getting the quarterback?
Well, Seattle would be the wild card, I feel like, in the teens, in the mid-teens, somewhere in there.
Makes a little bit more sense than Detroit, but yeah, I think both would be kind of fun if both of them were just like, hey, let's go.
Did get Penix at 23 though, so it worked out. And then on day 3, I took a bunch of guys with either cool names or like outliers, like small guys that were productive. So Jacob Cowing, super small but super fast receiver. Kamani Vidal, like
I love that guy.
Short running back, but like very strong, breaks a million tackles. Steele Chambers from Ohio State, the most linebacker name of all time. And then Muhammad Kamara, who I really like too. Luke Braun, got him in the 4th round. But
Steele Chambers sounds like he eats just like nuts and bolts for breakfast instead of cereal. Steele Chambers, is that made up? That's like a Madden.
He's either the love interest,
Madden, right?
Yeah, he's either the love interest or the antagonist in a romance novel.
Yeah, exactly. That is primarily
there he is.
Either
Steele Chambers
owns a steel foundry and is the
Yeah.
antagonist, or works in a steel foundry.
And we got Ron Johnson joining the show now.
What up? What up? What up?
Draft day.
Coming in hot.
I hope fans don't have to wear this shirt tonight. I left my house for this? What? I can't believe I left my house for Bo Nix. What the? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, that'll happen Friday, Ron.
I'm joking. Stop it. Stop it,
today.
Luke.
Don't worry. You got one more day.
I am on a text thread right now. So just to let you guys know, I'll be at US Bank Stadium. Thanks to a couple different sponsors. I don't know if I can say them because they're not sponsors of our show, but we'll be at the stadium. And I'm on a text thread now because we're doing a post-draft show. We're doing a pre-draft show. We have Adrian Peterson and Everson Griffin joining us as well. So I'm hoping in the chat, by the way, people, Sam Ekstrom and Luke Spinman will be looking at these. If you guys have questions for Adrian Peterson and Everson Griffin and you want us to tweet it out, I'm going to have a personal videographer that's going to video that question. So I'm taking all fan questions on Twitter. That's 3Ron Johnson. But anything you have for Adrian Peterson, Everson Griffin, please leave that in the chat as well, because they kind of told us there's no script. Just ask those guys whatever you want. So we would love to get a fan question in there, but I'm looking forward to it. So at the end of the day, though, I'm on this text thread, and they kind of said, like, hey, here's what you need to study for to get ready for the show. So
Oh, he's got scoops.
Okay, wait a minute. You're
Ron
planting
has
seeds here,
the
Ron. You're planting
answers.
seeds.
Wait,
Ron,
Ron,
you can't
can you do me
do
a favor? Can you do
tease
me a
us
favor
that.
and ask Adrian Peterson, Everson Griffin for an untold Mike Zimmer story? I feel like there's going to
okay.
be something crazy.
Okay.
I like that.
I'll ask him
Yeah, that
before
would
we
be
get in front of
great.
the fans and
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, just make sure it's TV PG.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then
ask him if
a
they're
year
okay
or
with
two,
that.
and then you can bring it to this show when the
Because if
dust
I
is
say it
settled.
without warning them, and then they both kind of look at me, I'll be like, "Hey, this comes from Luke Braun at Luke Braun on
Yep.
X. If you want to find him
here's
in
his
California."
address.
I feel like they'd have really different opinions of Zimmer too, because
I think so too.
Peterson didn't have a great time with Zimmer.
Yeah.
He was suspended 1 year and hurt 1 year,
Yep.
and then Griffin probably a significantly better opinion of him, I would think. But
Because they brought Griffin back with
Yeah.
Zim, and then he also kind of like let the bag go about Zim when he was having a little mental breakdown that one night. So
Mhm.
that's the other side of it. He did apologize, but he never said he didn't stand on business. So there was some truth there to what Zimmer did and did not want. But yeah, no, we're gonna have some fun tonight, and hopefully 11 and 23 is maybe where they're at. Maybe they'll jump, but we've got a couple little hey, I need you to study up on this just in case. So I'm prepared for it tonight.
That's outstanding. We're going to try to pry that information from you in just a moment. But first, we've got a couple words here before we roll on with Ron on the Minnesota Football Party. It's brought to you today by Monopoly Go. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime. The scoreboard's not looking good. You need a comeback. You're feeling low. You're down 33-0 to the Colts. You're not sure your team can pull out a win, but that's when you dig deep. You lift your head up and you say to yourself, time to get back in the game and pull off some bank heists and take as much of my friend's money as I possibly can. That's what you say when you're playing Monopoly Go, the smash hit mobile game that lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's Ron Johnson's favorite game, by the way. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, tons of twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress with your buddies. And then when you're winning, you can talk some serious smack, charge other players rent on your iconic properties, take all their cash. Work with friends to crack open community chests in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. Get back out there, put on your game face, download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. And we're brought to you today as well by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and they have a full assortment of NFL draft lines and props that you can wager on at FanDuel tonight. Get the value in now before all the leaks come out from the national reporters. New customers, when they sign up, get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks to who goes first to the Vikings. All on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, Ron Johnson with us at 3Ron Johnson on Twitter/X, host of the Ron Johnson Show. 22 years ago, Ron, you're sitting there, a wide receiver prospect. How were you spending the draft? Who were you with? What were you doing? He's muted. You're muted, Ron.
Sorry, there we go.
Yep.
Shout out to the Ravens. They sent me this gift for draft day. Play like a Raven is what it says. So it's kind of cool. It had like a little letter from Mr. Bishotti about once you're drafted by a Raven, you're always a Raven. And it was funny is like I ended up texting the Ravens PR team. And I was like, hey, you might be easier to get me some of these players that were Gophers and some guys that I have ties to. So just a heads up, we do have Rashad Bateman and Daniel Faalele. They're gonna get those guys to join the Ron Johnson Show. They have not reported back. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but they have not reported back for off-season workouts yet. I don't know why. But I know Bateman just got paid, so maybe he was holding out and just didn't want to be back until they extended his contract. So he did get extended. So they did say once he's back, they will work on getting him on the Ron Johnson Show. So that should be fun to talk about his draft day. But yeah, the Ravens said that. So I remember 22 years ago, it was different. You know what? This is the thing I remember like most now. Like I got a chance to hang out with Tony Dungy this past weekend and Matthew Slater and David Tyree. We were all talking about this. Tyree, being a late round draft pick. I didn't even know his story. I don't know if you guys knew. Did you know? And Sam, we didn't even talk about this. So we got to get Tyree back. He was arrested his rookie year and was in jail because he had like a pound of weed in his trunk. I don't know if you guys
Did
knew
not
that
know that.
story. I did not know that. So yeah, he was arrested. And so he basically said he prayed to God when he was in jail. He was going down the wrong path and said, look, if you let me out and let me keep my job as a Giant, I will turn my life around. And he did. And so that was I had never heard that story. So we got to get him back on the Ron Johnson show to tell that story. But I remember like my dad at the time was dealing with his CTE issues. I didn't know at the time. I just assumed he was disassociated. So he'd be in and out of like really, really engaged and then just, wanting to be at home by himself. But I remember getting drafted. I remember him driving over to the house and literally just kind of saying like, well, the work starts now. Like, how you feeling? Blah, blah. Like, I was pissed off. I was mad, to be honest, because I was the like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th ranked receiver in my class. And I looked at the guys like Eric Crouch went before me. He's not a better receiver than me. And so I looked at some of that stuff like, man, this is crazy. Who's getting drafted ahead of me? And he went to the Rams too. I'm like, damn, if I could have went to the Rams, like I could have got the ball. But I ended up going to the Ravens. We had Jamal Lewis, who was a running back that they ran the ball all the time. And so it was a blessing. Like looking back on it, it was a blessing because getting drafted in the 4th round is not a bad thing. But in my mind, being an All-American, 1,200 yards, career, 30 plus touchdowns and 3,000 yards XYZ. I'm like, damn, like how am I still here on day 2? But now I get it. Like it's a different type of thought process through this. And back then it was 3 rounds on day 1 and then the rest was on day 2. We only had 2 days. So it was a little bit of like annoyance. I got a call from the Ravens and the Browns on day 1 that they were going to take me in the 3rd round. And then the Ravens ended up trading the pick for 2 4th rounders, and they got Dave Zostadel, the punter out of Ohio, and then myself in the 4th the next day. So it was a blessing. Like it allowed me to start my life early with a job that, I got $2 million straight out of college, where like that's a blessing. And so I'm never going to look back and be like, man, I wish I went higher. I think God put me where I need to be. I need to go through what I need to go through, which ended up here. I think all the ties and all the things I went through, it brought me to here, being an analyst now, being able to, coach for Tony Dungy, understanding the game the way I learned it. Because when I got drafted, man, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know the game. I didn't. I was 230 pounds. I was 6'3" in college. They just threw the ball to me. Like sometimes I didn't even know the play. Just like, Ron, go deep. All right, I got you. Like, and so I don't think I ever really thought I needed to know the game the way I did, because a lot of my plays were just go deep, stutter, go, slant, go. It wasn't a lot of concepts. It wasn't a lot of coverage reads, but I will say when I got drafted, I was happy. I was super excited to get to Baltimore. And then of course I got a chance to, meet Ray Lewis on day 1. So that was definitely fun too, as well.
Ron, when you listen to every draft prospect get interviewed before the draft, they say, okay, where do you want, which team do you want to get drafted by? What? And they always say the same thing, right? Biggest cliche. I'll be happy no matter what. Any team I'm happy with. Was there part of you at all that was like, okay, I'll be happy, but I really don't want to go to team X or team Z, something like that? Or were you going to be happy no matter what?
I think I would have been happy no matter what, but honestly, like I kind of didn't want to go to the Browns because their uniforms were trash. Like you can't make Brown look sweet. Like you can't make it look Swifty. You can't there's nothing you can do with Brown besides think of doo-doo. So like that was the one uniform where I'm like, oh man, this is trash. Like there's a video, I got to find it. It's on VHS though, so it's real old school. I got to find somebody to be able to put it on DVD. But when we got drafted, they flew us all down, which I got to get the picture in my office. They flew us all down to California. It's like me, Joey Harrington, David Carr, Mike Williams was the big tackle. Roy Williams was the safety. Jamar, I forgot the dude from Florida State that went to the Packers. You had Ashley Lalee, and we all went down there. TJ Duckett, Clinton Portis, and I will never forget. Andre Davis came out the locker room in his uniform, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, that is ugly." He was like, "Oh, we're gonna make the Brown look sweet," and literally all of us were like, "Dude, you can't make that look sweet. I don't care what you do, unless you put diamonds around your." And that's why so many Browns like Odell Beckham wear diamond chains, because that's the only thing that's helping that uniform look better.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Braun, what do you got?
Give me a day 3 crush. Give me a guy that will be a Viking day 3. Obviously, after today, we'll be talking about the quarterback. Probably we'll be doing all that. We won't really have anything to talk about for day 2, most likely. So give me somebody on Saturday.
Well, Luke, there's some trades that could happen. There's a chance. There's a chance.
Always. They could take like 108 and move up, so it's like worth watching. But like,
there's a chance because here's the thing: what I've been looking at, and Ken, I talked to a couple people. The fact to like not say leverage. I hate when people say leverage. Like we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but to take 2025 and 2026 and then move back up to this draft, if you really have a guy you like, I see that happening. Like I see some 2025, 2026, like second round picks, maybe. Maybe a second and a fifth or 2/5, from whatever to move back up, like a second and 2/5 from like 2 years from now, or a year from now, to then move back up into this year's day 2. That could happen. So keep an eye on that. But I will say, like, it's tough for me looking at some of these players, understanding where they can fall. But from a college standpoint, again, I'm very, where's my list? Here it is. I'm very biased in the draft because I followed so many Gophers in the Big Ten. But, looking at some of these guys, sticking to that top 100, cornerback, kid out of Oregon State. I forgot his Oladipo. When you watch that, and again, he I don't know if he'll be there, but again, I'm looking at like grabbing some of these late round corners that that can come in. Nehemiah Pritchett out of Auburn. You gotta figure out a way, because if you're not gonna go corner early, you still got to get some bodies in that room for Flores, because this dude went into training camp last year with 6 safeties. So the fact that he had that many safeties, you're gonna need some corners as well. Not say Brian Murphy Jr., Caleb Evans, and what's his name from USC aren't the guys, Blackman. But I do think there needs to be like a day 3 corner that you really, really like that could be day 2 that happens to fall. You got to jump and go get him. And that's why that's some guys where I'm looking at the film. And again, there's some other guys in there too, like Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. Again, I don't know if he'll be there. Like he probably won't, but everybody keeps talking about guys that slide. These are some corners. Like this is not a draft where everybody's like, oh my God, I got to take this corner. I got it. Like Kool-Aid McKinstry in a lot of drafts would probably be a lot higher than people be talking, but everybody's in love with quarterbacks right now. And everybody's talking about edge rushers this year. This is a quarterback edge rusher year. And so you're going to see running backs, cornerbacks, a lot of those guys drop down. I thought Braylon Allen might be too, but I don't know if he would fall that far. And then Blake Corum as well. Like who knows if he falls that far or not, but if either of those guys are there from a running back standpoint, I would say get those guys on day 3 as well.
So I have a yearly tradition that I do for the draft. That is the day 3 contest.
I love Arif's face whenever Luke starts talking. Like Arif's like always prepared for like the absolute craziest thing that might come out of his mouth.
Well, no, I want to invite you in. If that Oregon corner, I don't think anybody has said it. If you get the day 3 guy right, I donate $20 to a charity of your choice. You want to take that name, Ron?
Sure.
I think that's the only one of those names that wasn't taken by somebody else. Everybody else, you can get into. I want to plug the contest. Everybody get into the day 3
sure.
thing.
My charity is going to be if my kids aren't athletic, college fund. Just in case. Just in case if they don't get a scholarship, it's going to their college fund.
Great.
I think that we're all in agreement that like the Vikings outside of quarterback should be focusing on the defense. There's no question about that. But I do think that there is room to grab like a third receiver, right, to complement Addison.
Correct.
So, and obviously that would occur on day 3 with or without a trade down into day 2.
Yep.
What is like a day 3 receiver that you think maybe it's not necessarily the best day 3 receiver, but the best fit for the Vikings on day 3 at receiver?
So, and again, this was a guy I thought might be there. He was the 98th ranked prospect, was Roman Wilson, but now like his metrics and his like extras from his pro day have probably pushed him into the 2nd, 3rd round. A lot of people early like weren't like high up on him because Michigan didn't throw the ball a ton compared to the past number 1s, guys that were number 1 at Michigan, like David Terrell, like Braylon Edwards. It's been a different type of game under JJ McCarthy and these 2 running backs in Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. But the guy that I saw, and I think Sam and I talked about this because we talked to Jack Henderson after the North Carolina game. Devontae Walker out of North Carolina. He's 6'2", he's 200 pounds. He's something that the Vikings don't have. And again, I keep pushing this 6'2", 6'3" frame type guy. The only reason I do it, and people forget this, Adam Thielen is actually 6'2" and a half. Like, he doesn't look like it because he stands like Eli Manning, but he is. He's taller than people give him credit for, and he's faster. So that's why Adam Thielen was such a good like staple in kind of the middle of the field, owning the middle of the field, being that stable like receiver. And so again, Walker may or may not, if he does get drafted to the Vikings late, he may or may not make the team, but that's a guy that on film under Drake Maye, you can kind of watch and be like, oh, okay, this kid's kind of good. And you always wonder, is it because his quarterback was good? Just like Florida receivers, just like Oregon receivers. People always wonder, is it the offense? Is it the quarterback? Or is it that player? And so that's another guy that benefited from having Drake Maye, but can that transition to the NFL? So he's a guy that I could see late round. Because other than that, man, a lot of these receivers aren't going to be there that quote unquote are in the top like 100 because I just don't think they're going to fall that far. Like Ricky Purcell out of Florida. If he's a guy that falls, I don't think he will. He's sneakingly athletic and he makes the tough catches out of Florida. But again, I don't think he'll be there because he's another guy that had a ridiculous pro day that everybody's like, oh my God, this guy is like the next Wes Welker, but with bigger and stronger body frame. So, that's the thing because he's 6'1". Like he's not Wes Welker. He's a bigger kid, but he kind of runs routes like that. And honestly, everybody was joking like he's a Patriot. Like when you watch him play, you're like, oh, this is a Patriot. But they're not Bill Belichick anymore. So maybe he'll end up somewhere else.
Ron, last one. What is the scenario tonight that's going to get US Bank Stadium's crowd to boo? Like what as a result or outcome tonight?
Yeah, Bo Nix. I hate to say it. Like I feel like they would boo Bo Nix. Like, and I've watched some Oregon film. Like Auburn, he was okay. But I've watched some Oregon film. There's one thing I'll say about Oregon. They spread the ball out. They get the ball out their hands fast. I watched it because of Bucky Irvin. Sam, you know that. Former Gopher, transferred out there. So I would watch a little bit just to, it's one of those things like when your girlfriend breaks up with you, you don't follow her on Instagram anymore, but you still watch. That was kind of like the Bucky Irvin thing. Like he left us, and so I'm like, I'm not watching this guy, but I'm gonna watch.
So good.
But that's so I did watch him at Oregon, and he gets the ball out of his hands fast. He gets it. He's decisive when he gets it out of his hands. He's not mobile. He's not going to run away from anybody. He's not going to run out of your sight in 2 days. Like you can say take off, and 2 days later you can come back and be like, oh, there he is, and you can shoot him with a rifle if you're like a sniper. Like he's not going far in 2 days, but he is a kid that is very decisive. But is that Dan Lanning's offense with Oregon? Does he give him all the answers before the play? Does he give him automatic outlets? Because Kevin O'Connell's offense is not built that way. His offense is built to read, and that's why we saw Josh Dobbs struggle a little bit. That's why we saw Kevin O'Connell make comments like, I probably would have took this throw. And you know what's going to be funny in the next like year or two? Watching Kevin O'Connell have to admit sometimes that like, yeah, Kirk probably should have made this throw, because we all did it on Twitter and Instagram. Like, oh man, this dude was open. He could have threw this ball, but he threw it, he checked it down for the game against the Giants. Like there's a lot of plays like that where people are going to nitpick now because Kirk's gone. But Kevin O'Connell definitely has an offense that you have to read. I remember talking to BC Johnson, and we got to get him on because finally it might work out now. But he said when Kevin first came in, he gave those guys tablets, and he said 90% of the stuff early on was choice routes. He was teaching those guys how to read and understand a choice route. And it's okay to say that publicly, because you know what? You can't make me wrong in a choice route. Like you can go inside, I'm going out. You can press, I'm gonna go deep. You can sit back, I'm gonna hook up. You can go 2 over and play cover 2. I'm gonna run a bubble screen because your safety has to come downhill and make that tackle, and I'm gonna hook your linebacker. So there's a lot within that offense. But at the end of the day, if you can't decipher it as a quarterback, you're not going to be successful in Kevin O'Connell's offense. I think that's why Nick Mullins was kind of successful, because he was able to digest it and then regurgitate it back to the team and play like, but he didn't have the extra it. He kept throwing it to the defense on his butt. He kept, and part of it might've been, what's the quarterback for the Bengals? Not Joe Burrow. No, the other one.
Andy
Browning.
Dalton?
Browning. It might have been Jake Browning's girlfriend's like white outfit that was like Nick Mullins was like could not pay attention to the game and why he threw that interception. Because I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter, but she definitely got Nick Mullins to throw that pick. And so when you think about that, like Kevin O'Connell's looking for a cerebral quarterback that also is athletic. And again, it kind of tells you who's out there: Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, and JJ McCarthy. Those are kind of the cerebral, athletic quarterbacks that could possibly fall to the Vikings. I don't think it's Bo Nix. So if it's Bo Nix, I think that might get a boo. The other thing that might boo is if they trade back. Oh my God.
Oh,
I'm gonna find
yeah.
shelter. If they trade back because they know they're gonna get one of those other quarterbacks and they can get them later, I'm gonna seek shelter because
Yeah.
between the beer,
It's
because it's sponsored by a beer company, and the liquor, because it's sponsored by a liquor distributor. Some people might be overserved, and I don't know what kind of arms they might have with those beers at the screen, but I don't think they would be too happy. So yeah, but trading back, and again, if they do trade back, I'm looking around for Rick Spielman because clearly he got like Rick Spielman.
The ghost of Rick Spielman.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Baby Groot. You know, like when Baby Groot had to take the little device to kill Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he was young and dumb, and so he kept telling him to push this button, and he kept pointing to the wrong button. He's like, "No, that's gonna kill it." Like that reminds me of them saying, like Rick, all you have to do is take a quarterback, and he's like, "Oh, trade back? No, like just pick a quarterback." Okay, I'll trade back. No, like that's what Rick Spielman makes me feel like during the draft. Like he's literally going against what everybody's saying. But again, we know he was about draft capital. We know he was about getting more picks. He was drunk with power when it came to that. Some of it worked out. Like I'm not going to hate on him. I hate when people hate on him because some of his picks worked out that he did. And the problem is some of them didn't. And that's what they're going to always remember him for.
Tune in to Ron tonight on his pre-draft, post-draft shows at US Bank Stadium. We'll be going live here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We got you covered from every angle. Ron, it's going to be fun. Can't wait to see your content.
What time are you guys going live?
We'll be live from 7 o'clock until the pick.
From 7 till the, and then what are you doing after the pick?
We'll talk about the pick.
Okay.
And then we will bid everyone farewell.
Well, let me know if I can drop in because I'll be at the stadium. Right. I can give you guys like I can drop in and give you guys a stadium overview of what it feels like, what the crowd's like.
Yeah.
Maybe grab a fan.
Yeah.
If a fan wants to jump on Locked On Sports.
Make sure they haven't been overserved. We have some rules here on the live feed.
We go live. We really want to make sure that it's a polished product. You know,
I'll make sure the fan isn't. Yeah, I will try to make sure the fan isn't overserved. I'll try to identify a guy beforehand and be like, "Hey, man, we just want to get the fan reaction. I might have to bring my microphone. Yeah, I might make this work. I got a little travel mic. See what we get from the fans."
If Kwesi trades back, we're going to have time to kill Ron, so we're going to need you. We're going to need you to help us.
If Kwesi trades back, I hope nobody knows his address because they're
going to egg his house.
Like it feels like it might be an episode of Scooby-Doo. Kwesi trades back and all of a sudden he rips off the mask and they're like, "Oh shoot, that was Rick Spielman." Scooby-Doo.
And I would have gotten
away with it too
if it wasn't for those darn kids.
If it weren't for those meddling podcasters.
Yep.
Luke, you do remind me of Shaggy. Like I could see that. You could pull off a Shaggy.
There you go.
You could pull that off. I don't know who your Daphne would be, but because it was
Luke
Daphne and Velma,
Luke just
right?
got married.
Yeah. It's probably my wife.
Oh.
Probably my wife.
Ron, that was great. We'll talk
it.
to you soon. Roundtable tomorrow.
All right. I hope I didn't leave my house for this.
We'll see you, Ron. We got one word from a partner, and then we will make our final draft predictions on the Minnesota Football Party. Brought to you today by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you check out LinkedIn Jobs. They've got all the tools to help you find that professional faster and for free. This is not your garden variety job board. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn will get you a qualified candidate for 86% of small businesses within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. They know that small businesses are wearing a lot of hats, and they help you allocate your time and resources properly. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, so post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl, linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, 5 minutes left. Let's lock in. Minute each. Luke Inman, give me your best prediction.
All right, final prediction. I just think everything leading up to this has led us all to assume that they're trading up. They're trading up for a quarterback. I just don't think you make that move for pick 23 if you're not planning on being aggressive and outbidding everyone else to move up and go get that guy, whoever that may be. So I just don't see any other scenario. I think it just makes too much sense with everything they've done with the trade, everything we know, everything we've seen, everything we've heard, all that stuff. I'd be shocked if they didn't move up for Drake Maye at 3 or JJ McCarthy somewhere in the top 10. They're moving up, though, in some fashion, and they're going to get one of those two guys.
Arief.
Yeah, they trade up to 3, they get Drake Maye. That's their prediction. I don't know that there's like much I can add to that. I think on day 3 they'll draft Cam Hart. That's a day 3 prediction. How about that?
Are you giving to Luke Braun's fund with that prediction?
Wait, you have to.
I think.
I don't think you have to give.
I give. So yeah, that's the game is give me a day 3 player, and if it's right, I donate $20 to a charity of your choice. Although I'm pretty sure Cam Hart has already been claimed.
Yeah, I would have
got it. So Arief is trying to get money from Luke Braun. That makes more sense. Got it.
Yeah, I'm always trying to get money from Luke Braun. But I don't think that this would be the vehicle to do it because Cam Hart would almost certainly have already been selected by somebody.
Yeah, there's already like 100 responses. So I think I'm going to be donating to some charities. JJ McCarthy. That's my prediction. JJ McCarthy up to 4 or 5 or something. Pat stay. You know what? This guy's just too good. We got to just stand pat. And then the Vikings say, okay, no problemo. And they trade up with, we'll say, Arizona. JJ McCarthy at 4. QBs go 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first time ever.
I think ever.
Play the button. This is an hour old, but Tom Curran, the pretty plugged-in Patriots reporter, he has been indicating the Patriots are set to pick at 3 unless they're blown away by an offer. This feels like your classic league situation.
Blown away. Okay.
Just trying to create some urgency, some scarcity for that pick. I think they get there. I think the Vikings get there. I think they throw in 3 1s, which really, guys, if they give 3 1s and get a 1 back, it's really 2 1s. It's not like they're giving all 3 picks and getting, this isn't a Matt Stafford trade. They are getting a pick. So really they're netting -2 in the first round pick category. They might have to throw in more though. They might have to throw in additional picks in later rounds. I think the Patriots are going to need to see a pretty big haul, probably 11 and 23 and a future 1 and more. But I think the Vikings get there, and I think it's Drake Maye as well. I think that's got to be where the money is. I think that's chalk.
If the Patriots loved Drake Maye, they wouldn't be playing these games leaking to Tom Curran like, "Hey, we're locked in unless."
Right.
I just feel like
what's in the box?
I feel like if they
really
liked him a lot, the games that we've been seeing from them over the past week, would not would not play out the way that they have.
So does that mean that if they don't trade up, if the Vikings don't get the trade up done, we get to criticize Kwesi for cheaping out?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, easily.
Nice.
I think this would be a boo as well. Like even if they got good players in the first round, if they don't execute the trade up, somebody else does, and the compensation was pretty reasonable.
Oh,
like
that
was
the ticker changes and it's like orange and it's Broncos that got up to 4 for McCarthy, and it was for like a first and a third.
And not a player, but not Patrick Surtain, like somebody like E level, like kind of average, a starter, but average.
Some like random like backup swing tackle.
Right. I know we got to get out of here, but I said my bold prediction. I'm not worried about the Giants taking a quarterback. I'm calling their bluff. Are you guys worried about that at all? What's the percentage real quick before we get out of here? 50-50?
Nah. 11 and 23 is worth more than 6. So even if they are, we can outbid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
My worry, 10%? Like,
okay. All right.
We're going live tonight at, what do you think, guys? 6:45, little preamble. Have a little
I'll try.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff prepared. If we have to kill time, stuff will be prepared. If we don't have to kill time, we'll go through the Vikings pick. Could be 3, could be 4, could be 5. And we'll talk about it. We'll break it down. We'll take your comments and questions in real time. It'll be a lot of fun. Join tonight, Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel, live draft show with this crew. And it sounds like maybe Ron Johnson. I mean, we might be asking to violate all FCC regulations. We are a Tegna partner after all.
And a fully unvetted stranger.
Sounds like a great idea.
What could go wrong? Yes. Should be fine.
Luke and Arief, I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks a lot for watching and listening to our craziness. Thanks for sticking with us with all this pre-draft talk the last several months. Tonight, it culminates with our pre-draft or with our NFL draft show on the Minnesota Football Party. Thank you so much.